Hello and welcome to Two Man Meta. I'm Mondo Spanner.
And I'm Aunty Kaz, and on today's episode of OOP we will be playing a game of My Little Pony the trading card game. Just if you've seen the previous two videos of keywords and card anatomy, that will help massively with this tutorial. So the first thing you're going to need to play this game is you're going to need a 45 card deck. You will also need a 10 card problem deck and a main character. You just need one of these. These are the two-sided ones with a start side and a boost side, as we explained in the card anatomy. So, the first thing to know is how to win this game. You have to get 15 points by confronting and solving problems.
Yep. Each turn you get an amount of action points, which we're going to be representing on our red dice, and that shows you how many action points you get on these score slider cards that you get in the starter sets.
So the amount that you get each turn is based on the highest score between both players. So if one of you has no points and one of you has 3 points, you would refer to the slider, and that would give you 3 action points, no matter whether you're the losing player or the winning player.
Yeah.
So first thing we do is we shuffle up our decks. So we have already shuffled them, but we'll give them another quick shuffle.
Just so you believe us. There we go. There's a quick shuffle. And I'll cut this as well.
Starting character needs to start at home, which is essentially like a bench from Pokemon.
Yeah.
You then need to take your 10 card problem deck and select a problem to start with. These have to say starting problem on them. You then face these so that the colours requirements are facing you, and the number requirement is facing your opponent. Yeah. And that is how they solve the problems. So we will roll to see who goes first.
4.
4.
Oh, okay, and again. 2.
5.
First or second, aren't you, Kaz?
I will go second for the card draw. So first thing we do is we draw a 6 card hand. There is an 8 card hand limit in this game. So if at the end of the turn you have more than 8 cards in hand, you have to discard down to 8. The turns are broken down into phases, so we'll go through the phases as we play. So the first phase is the ready phase, where you would untap any tapped characters, which are called exhausted in this. But Mondo going first doesn't have any. Then he would draw a card, but on the first turn of the game you don't draw a card, so he just goes straight to generating his action points. So we look at the scorecard and it says 0 because we're both on 0, so he generates 2.
So there's my 2.
So he has 2 actions this turn. Now the turn card is very handy for this game, and it tells you exactly what you can do in your main phase, which he moves to after his ready phase. There is the troublemaker phase in between, but there are no troublemakers to do anything. So he can now pay 1 to draw a card, pay 1 to play a troublemaker, pay 2 to move one of his characters to a problem or from a problem to another problem or to home, or to ready one of his frightened characters. When a character is frightened, it flips over and it can't do anything, and it doesn't add to the scores.
Yeah. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can cast out one of your friends, and then you just pay the amount of action points that it tells you to pay on the card, which is explained in the card anatomy video. Okay, so it's my first turn. I am going to play. I'm going to spend 1. So basically the initial phase is readying up, drawing a card and getting your action points. The next phase is called the troublemaker phase, but there's no troublemakers out. So then you go into your main phase. So in your main phase, that's where you do like casting your friends, casting troublemakers and all the rest of it. So what I'm going to do in my turn is...
one thing that we've skipped over before that, there is a mulligan in this game.
Oh yeah,
that you can take at the beginning of the game. You just redraw your 6 cards.
Yeah.
So I will mulligan before the game starts.
Ooh, controversial. It's rarely done.
So we're going to give him a shuffle up.
Oh.
and draw a fresh 6. Because what we want in our starting hand is low cost characters that we can match to these colours.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm going to spend so in my main phase, I'm going to spend 1 action, and I am going to cast a house mouse onto I'm going to call this my problems because the colours are facing me. These are my opponent's problems because the number value is facing me. And that is the end of my turn. Your go.
So in the start of my turn, I ready up. I don't have any. I then draw a card. I then generate my points. So it is still 0-0. So I only generate 2 actions. And I will spend my 2 actions to play a character. So I am playing a Sugar Twist who costs 2 and has a power of 2 white. So I am now solving the non-pink section of this card, and that's cost me all my actions.
So to confront, not solve, you have to have the correct equal to or more of what it says on the card on that side. So you're half confronting it, aren't you, basically?
So now we move to the scoring phase, and I am not confronting either problem by fulfilling the requirements, so I don't score anything, and the turn passes over to Mondo.
So, beginning of my turn, ready up, nothing to ready up, draw a card, hooray! Okay, and then gain my action points, so I gain 2, so I'm up to 3 because I saved 1 from last turn.
So your action points don't run out at the end of your turn, they do stack over, so you can effectively just build them up for a really big turn if you don't want to do anything.
So what I am going to do is I'm going to spend 1 to play a troublemaker. So I've played a troublemaker. That's the end of my turn. Your go.
Now it moves over to me, so we draw a card after we've readied up. There's nothing to ready, so we just draw a card. We generate our action points. It's still 0-0, so we're generating 2. We move on to the troublemaker phase. I don't have any troublemakers to flip. I don't have any to confront because that one hasn't flipped over yet. So I will just pay 2 to move my main character from home to the problem. And that's all of my main phase. So then I move to the scoring phase, and I am now scoring this. So my main character has an ability of when you confront this card's problem, if none of your opponent's friends are at that problem, turn this card over. So I'm confronting it and there's nobody there, so I now get my boosted side. Scoring, I have confronted the problem, so I get 1. That applies to all problems. And because I'm the first person to solve it, I get the bonus points, which on special delivery is 1. So I am now up to 2 points.
Fantastic. So that's the end of the scoring phase. That's the end of Aunty Kaz's turn. So it's my turn now. So first of all, ready up. Well, that's not happening. And then draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 cards in hand. And then gain my action points. So this time, because Aunty Kaz is at 2 points, I get 3 extra. So I'm up to 5 action points that I can spend now. So that's the end of my initial phase. So now it's on to troublemaker phase. So this troublemaker now flips. So it's Timberwolf, which is a rather hated card. It's just a very hard card.
This has an uncover ability. So when you uncover this card, you pay 2 or dismiss it.
Bloop. So down to 3. And then also what it means is that if Aunty Kaz wants to cast anybody to that spell, he has to pay an extra 2 action points, which is quite debilitating. Another thing as well is that Aunty Kaz cannot confront that problem whilst there's a troublemaker there, so that now stops him from confronting that problem theoretically, but he could beat it up in his troublemaker phase, and so therefore that makes it a bit better. Right, now for the rest of my turn, I'm going to spend 1 action point to play an event on my Fluttershy, which says choose a character, and that character gets +1 orange and +1 yellow until the end of phase. And so because I've done that, that will now allow me to spend another 1 point to put a apple cobbler onto this problem.
Apple cobbler not only has a 1 cost, but also the cost of you have to have 1 orange in
it's
play,
a requirement, isn't it?
which is now fulfilled by
this
boosting
event.
that.
So that's great. So that's the end of my main phase. I'm going to get rid of this event. That goes to my discard pile, and I am now fulfilling the criteria to solve my problem. So I'm going to confront my problem. So I'm going to confront it. That gets me 1 point, and then because I'm the first person to do so, I get the bonus point of 2. So that goes to there. That is the end of my turn because that was my scoring phase. Your go.
So I don't have anyone to ready, so we draw a card. And now we go to generate our actions, which we are up to 3 because the high score is still 2. Now we move to the troublemaker phase before I can play anything in the main phase. So I now have the option to try and confront the Timberwolf, and if I succeed in the face-off, I will gain the points on it. I'm going to attempt it even though I have only 5 power. So how the face-off works is we both flip the top card and add the power. So I have a 3.
I got a 1. Damn it.
So I am now scoring more than his combined power. So I have
because you've got a combined total of 3, 5, 8.
So I have successfully confronted the troublemaker, and I gain 3 points.
And then the cards that you flip in the face-offs go to the bottom of your deck.
So you can deck out in this. We have never decked out in a game yet.
No.
When you do, you simply don't flip cards. Your discard pile just builds up. Your deck runs out. So if the game goes too long, you're just getting weaker and weaker, essentially. Now that the Timberwolf has been confronted, he is discarded, which means I can now confront the problem again. We move to my main phase, where I can play cards and draw cards. So, having quite a stacked hand at the minute, I need to start playing some cards out. I'm going to play an Apple Brown Betty for 3, using all my points. No extra card text, just playing it straight to that problem. And that is the end of my main phase. So we move to my scoring phase. I'm not fulfilling the requirements to confront this problem, but I am on this problem, so that ticks up 1 point. I don't get any bonuses because that's only the first time someone confronts it successfully. So that is the end of my turn.
Fantastic. So beginning of my turn, ready up, no, draw, yes, gain points. Now because Kaz has gone to 6 points in the lead, that's now 4 actions, so I'm back up to 5. Right, so I'm going to pay 2 to move Fluttershy to here, and I think that's going to be the whole. Actually, no. And then I'm going to spend 1 to draw a card, and that's the end of my main phase. So now onto the scoring phase. Didn't have a troublemaker phase, obviously, because there's no troublemakers out on my problem or where I am. So in my scoring phase, this says when you confront a card problem, if you have a poor friend at that problem, turn this card over. So here's a poor friend. It's got a little poor symbol in the middle of it. So that now flips, which is fantastic because it's quite a strong card. And so therefore I score that again, so I get another point. So I'm up to 3.
But again, no bonus because it's already been confronted successfully.
Yeah.
There is no face-off triggered, which happens the same as troublemakers when both sides are confronting the problem. But as they're not, we just move over to my turn.
Yeah.
So I ready up, then draw a card, and then I generate 4 points because the high score is still 6. So for my turn, I will pay my entire 4 points to play a big top who has a requirement of 2, but I have 6 pink out. So that is my entire turn because I've spent all my points and can't do anything else.
Does it have an extra ability?
It does, but that only triggers when you win a problem face-off involving this card. dismiss an opponent's friend involved in this face-off. So that's a very strong card.
Yeah.
So now we move to the scoring phase, and I am confronting both problems. So now it triggers a double face-off where we add both sides together, even though Mondo's only confronting one problem, because I've managed to do both at the same time. So this is a big thing in this game. And when you win the face-off, you get the bonus points again. So first for confronting, I've got 1 point and 1 point. And then we will face off. So we will flip the top card. So I have a total here of 3, 6, 9, 11, 12.
I've got 10 in total. 5. Oh no, wait a minute, hold on. 5, 3, plus she gets +1 for having a poor friend there, so 4. So that's 9, 10, 11. So you beat me by 1.
So now we put our cards at the bottom unless there are any events to play. Now all the ponies from both problems go home because both have been solved. So I will get the bonus points.
So that's 2 extra points.
Taking me to a total of 10. Both of these will get flipped for being solved. And new ones will be generated.
Come on.
So I also need to trigger this ability. When you win a problem face-off involving this card, dismiss one of your opponent's friends. So I will get rid of the house mouse.
Seems rude.
And that is the end of my turn. So now, in Mondo's turn, he will generate even more.
Nope.
No, because it starts at 11.
Yep. So I have rather misplayed in this game, but whatever. It doesn't really make too much difference. It's probably just going to make the game a bit shorter. So my go. So ready up, no. Draw, yes. Add 4, so I'm up to 6 action points now. What I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to pay 2 to put Apple Cobbler there. I'm going to put her on the left so that the colours line up. Okay.
That's because it costs 2 action points to move any character, no matter what score of cost is on them.
Yeah. Then I am going to pay 1 to cast a Forest Owl over here. What this card does is, although it doesn't actually bring any power, it does give +1 power to all of the other cards at that problem that it's at. So this now counts as 2 pink, or 2 orange, sorry. So now I can do several things here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 1 to cast this resource, which is a condition. It says play on a friend. This friend gets -5 power during the score phase. So we are going to play that on his white card, because then it means he's got no white, which really messes with him when it comes to solving problems.
Because I need 3 white here, or 3 non-pink, but this deck only has white, so now I'm in real trouble for scoring my own problem.
Going to pay my last 2 to move her to there, which, because there's a friend underneath her, makes her power 4, and then also because of the Forest Owl's ability makes her power 5. So I'm now easily doing the 3 yellow that's necessary on there. I've just got to get another pinky orangey kind of colour out. That is the end of my turn, because in my scoring phase I'm not meeting the conditions to get into that. So it's now Kaz's turn.
So I generate 4 after I've drawn a card, and I need to start trying to score some points. This is a 9, so this is going to be difficult just to get enough people over there. So I will first move over an Apple Brown Betty for 2, and I believe I'm going to play some white out because I need some. So I will pay 1 to play a Noteworthy, and then because I am now meeting the requirement, I can also play a Pearly Stitch because I now have 1 white out, because this guy has -2 power, so he doesn't count towards that. So onto the scoring phase. I'm not confronting any problems, so back over to Mondo.
So ready up, nothing to ready up. The ready up thing is quite interesting, because I think as you get more cards, then there will be more cards that exhaust yours.
And when they're exhausted, they don't generate their power to the problems. So in these starter decks from the starter set, you don't see a lot of it. There's a couple of cards in here that exhaust, but...
So if you're wondering, well, these guys are never exhausted, never readying up anything, it's just because that's the way the starter decks are created. But it's not too much of a mechanic to miss at the moment. It's not too much of a problem.
Frightened's very similar, although you have to pay to turn a frightened character the right way up.
But it tells you it on these turn cards, so you're all good. Right, so ready up, no. Draw, yes. Actions, yes. I am going to spend 2 to play a red gala. So because both of these are getting +1 power from the owl, that now means that I've got enough. So this would count as 2, this would count as 3. So that's 5 in total, which satisfies this criteria. And as we've already said, this is 5 on its own. So that satisfies that criteria. And then for my other 2, I'm going to spend them on a blue jay, which I'm going to cast over here, which satisfies that criteria. So that's the end of my main phase. So now into my scoring phase. I've now got enough power to confront this problem, so I get 1. Plus, I'm the first person to do so, so I get an extra 3, which takes me up to 7, which is pretty good. And that is the end of my turn.
So in my turn, we draw a card after we've readied up. We generate points again, which is 4 because the highest is still 10. And now I want to try and trigger a face-off here to try and get those bonus points. So I'm going to have to play characters or move characters to get 9. So I can move a character for 2.
Yep.
And then I just need a single 1. And it can be any colour. So I will pay 1 to play a Dance Fever. And then I will end my main phase and move to the problem solving phase. So I am now confronting the problem because I have 9 of any colours total. So I get 1 point for doing that, and we face off. So we flip our top card and add it to the power. I have a 1.
I have a 1 also, but thankfully, how much do you add up to?
I add up to 9 total, but
Plus
I have
1, 10.
random.
So you can...
So random, during a face-off involving this card, if you flip a card with 1 power, you may ignore it and flip a new card. That's a 3.
So, rough. So I lose. Because I've lost the face-off, Kaz scores the bonus points again, so he's now up to 14, so he's basically won.
So everyone is returned home.
Everybody returns
Flipped
home.
cards are put on the bottom of the deck. But now I'm hitting my home limit as well. So my home limit is on my main pony, and I have a home limit of 5, so I now have to discard down to 5 characters. So we will discard or dismiss our card that is being debuffed for obvious reasons, and then I have 5 cards left. So I have 5 friends at home. Your main pony doesn't count towards your home limit. I'm just stacking like that for neatness. And we flip this card over to reveal a new problem.
Okay. Right. My go.
So now that we're on 14, Mondo will generate 5 actions.
Yeah, so ready up, none. 5 actions. Draw a card. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 2 and I'm going to move Fluttershy to here. Okay, so she's worth 3, plus she gets +1 because there's a poor friend underneath her, so she's 4, plus 2 is 6, so I'm now actually got the right amount to deal with that card, which is a bonus. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 2 to put Red Gala over here, but what I'm then going to do is pay 1 to put Nurture with Knowledge, which is an event, on her. choose a character. That character gets +2 yellow until the end of turn.
And it has easily got the +2, the 2 yellow that he needs to play the event. So now you move to the scoring phase.
Yeah.
And Mondo is confronting both problems.
So 1, 2.
He is the first person to confront both problems.
So that's an extra 4.
So he gains the bonus point.
So up to 13. That was a turn that was. So that's the end of my turn. This event now goes.
So in my turn, I will draw 1 card. I will gain 5 because we're at 14. So I'm up to 6. And what I need to do now is I need to confront a problem to score a point to win.
So any problem, which you can easily do.
So I will move a character to there for 2, taking me down to 4. And then I will move a second character for 2. And then move to my scoring phase. I'm confronting this problem, so I get the point. I don't get the bonus point, but I only needed the single point.
So that's the end of the game, unfortunately.
So the only thing to cover in this that we haven't covered is if you lose against the troublemaker, one of your ponies is sent home.
Yeah.
And the only type of cards we haven't shown you in this that aren't in the starter deck are villains. Villains are troublemakers that are played across the card and both people can confront.
And both people suffer the problem. Because the idea of a troublemaker is to stop you from scoring that problem. Which I suppose we did say earlier on when the Timberwolves were out. But with a villain, it stops both people. So both people have to confront it, kind of thing.
And we will see you in the box opening.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Right. See you later, everybody.
If you enjoyed this episode of Two Man Meta, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date as we release multiple episodes each week. If you would like to help support the channel, check out the links in the description below, as well as links to our social media pages. Thank you for watching. See you next episode.